I'm Peter Begala from Family Business Magazine, and I'm joined today by Charlie Carr from EY. He's in their Family Office Advisory Services. And today we're going to talk about family constitutions or family charters. Typically, a family who's considering a family charter or a constitution is really trying to document a set of guidelines or rules of the road for the family, as well as a mission and vision around the family enterprise. You know, when we say constitution, that's kind of a big word. We think of it as a kind of a big deal. Where do families start, and often what are in these documents?
Okay. Well, what you're trying to document first is what's the vision of the family. I'll often call these a 100-year wealth plan. I say it's at least a 50-year vision of where you want to go. So what is that vision? What is the mission statement of the family, the vision statement of the family? Where do you want to go? You're going to talk about the history of the family. What are the key values that the family has? The values are what get lost often as you're transitioning from the first to the second to the third to the fourth generation. So let's just document some of those key values. You also want to talk about in here the governance of the family. This is usually where you're going to define the family council, if you have one, who's on it, how those positions get transitioned, the succession of those positions over time, what they're responsible for, the whole governance picture of the family, the role of the family business. You often have statements in the document about the business can be sold, can't be sold. Family employment policy, if you want to work in the business, what are the parameters around that? A lot of that gets documented within the Constitution.
So I hear a lot of guidelines coming into this, and if the family's kind of on track with it or somebody strays, what happens?
Yeah, that's a frequent question is code of conduct in particular, because you will specify a code of conduct, and within that, what's the stick? And unfortunately, there's really not one. There's not a good one. My recommendation to most families is put a clause in there that the family council is responsible for handling any violations of this. The problem is if I specify hard parameters, you can't look on a case by case. And your whole goal is to rehabilitate, or to change behavior.
It's like a coaching kind of thing.
That's right. It's a coaching thing.
Here's the standard. Let's everybody kind of gravitate towards that. Okay. And I would imagine this can take a long time, because getting everybody to agreement on values, on what the family employment policy is, how do you kind of keep this on track?
Well, the first thing is you do want an outside party to work with you. It's too hard to do this with just the family members. Even if you have one good key strategic family member, you really need an outsider to help you through this process. They do take a while. I hear what I would consider horror stories of 3 to 5 year processes. Ooh. The problem is when they take that long, they get bogged down. And at some point, people get frustrated, you lose momentum, and then often they die. They don't get finished. I usually would try to encourage families to get it done in a year. Let's pick a time period. You can't do it in a long weekend, but over a course of a year, if you're very strategic and intentional, you can put these together and get it done.
So you want some closure to it, but I would imagine that this thing lives on. I've heard families say, yeah, we revisit this from time to time.
That's right, and you should review it at every annual family meeting. It should be part of the agenda. But you don't want it to just be a framed document that sits on the wall. You want it to be something that drives the strategy of the family. As you're doing your 1-year strategic plans, as you're doing your 10-year strategic plans, this should be part of what plays into that. When I look at succession planning, this should be helping drive that. The values of the family, the code of conduct, all of that should be driving where we move as a family. If education's a key value, and usually it is, what are we doing about it? Wow. Do we have education plans for each family member? I'm often talking to family offices about what are your education plans for each family member. Now, the response they'll usually give me is I have them for the 20-year-old, the 18-year-old. What about the 50-year-old?
Yeah.
What's the education plan for them? Do they have conferences you can help them with? Where are they going? If education's a key value, what are we doing about it?
Right, so all generations.
All generations.
Okay. So families, as you're looking at a family constitution, don't be scared, don't be daunted. It's one of those processes that's worth engaging in to document the vision and intent of the family, as well as guidelines for how to work with each other, how to work with the family assets or the family operating company. And it can serve you for a lifetime and many generations to come, because it is a living and breathing document. Charlie, thank you.
Thank you.